you know that coffee machine that we have in here actually has different settings on it for slower extraction and faster extraction of coffee from the beans? That's like almost like too sciencey, isn't it, for a coffee machine?
I don't understand why you would extract slower or faster.
Well, I think it must be a grinder setting or something for the beans.
But what's the benefit?
I don't know. Maybe it's if you want to have like a little drop of concentrated fucking coffee stuff instead of having a big cup. I don't know anything about that. Because I was looking at that whenever we first got it for the studio. I was like, I could start a little coffee truck or something, couldn't I? You know, like I got this shit down. I don't have it down at all. I can make one type of coffee, which is coffee with a bit of milk in it. Like I don't know any of that.
No latte.
Matcha, frappa, mocha. No,
not for me.
You know, that's. I have the working man's coffee stall. You come in, you get one type of coffee, fast extraction of the beans, and that's it.
I went to a coffee shop on Thursday, and I walked in, and like their menu had like, I wasn't buying for me, I was buying for my wife, and the menu was like all the normal things, but it had like 2 on there, and I was like, I had to ask, it's like, what is a piccolo coffee?
A little tiny coffee.
But like it's an espresso, surely.
I don't know. Maybe it's slightly bigger than an espresso, or maybe.
She did explain, but I wouldn't listen.
Maybe it's weaker than an espresso, but it's still just a little tiny one that you sip. Maybe it's for Italians who don't have the stones for a good espresso.
I don't think there's any Italians who don't.
No, I don't. Even when it was coming out of my mouth, I knew that I was wrong. You know, there's actually a phenomenon in the UK where every 15 minutes there's a power surge. And it's because every time there's an ad break, everybody goes at the same time and turns on their electric kettle for a cup of tea.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's quite good.
So like every ad break, there's a surge.
That's a community thing in my head. I think it's quite nice in some way.
Like the universal human condition, isn't it?
Because I don't have terrestrial TV in any way, shape, or form. Like I don't have and I pay for like Netflix. I don't have ads at all, pretty much. The only ads that I have are on like the 4 podcasts I don't pay for or something that I listen to. But I was actually secretly pining for those days recently in my head because, again, I have not watched Yellowstone or Wednesday or any of the things that I said that I'm going to watch. Yeah. And instead I've been watching Eurotrash.
Like the old 90s show, Eurotrash?
Yeah.
Where are you watching that?
Not legally.
Dodgy box?
Dodgy box. Well, not dodgy box, but yes, the same idea. But it's actually so fun to watch because like when we were teenagers, like full disclosure, like Eurotrash is from like 1993 apparently is when it started.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I didn't think it was that old.
Me either. But it was on like super late at night because there is levels of nudity in it. All levels of nudity, realistically.
It's very
European.
I was going to say very European, but I don't know if that was just my idea of what European was whenever I was younger and had never been to Europe.
But like, there's so many things I forgot about it. It was what our idea of Europe was when we were younger. It exactly was that.
And I know that we are from Europe, but like we're a little island.
Europe,
We're a little island,
and like because of the repression of the English is a big part of it. You know, Ireland's quite a conservative country, especially back then. And mainland Europe was not.
I don't know if I can pin all the blame on the English. I think a fair amount of it was the fucking Catholic Church as well.
No.
Come on.
No.
Come on. I know you're a fanboy, but like...
Are you a fanboy of the British Empire?
No. I'm not. But like,
you give me a problem that we have in Ireland and I'll blame the English somehow.
I'm a big fan of that, but I like to put things in the correct box, you know? I don't think it was all to do with the English.
What type of Catholics is Ireland?
Roman Catholics?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Is this a segue to talking about the Pope?
No.
Okay.
Not even.
All right.
But Roman Catholic, and where's Rome?
In Italy, which is European. But I mean, come on. We're not talking fucking, we're not talking Roman fucking sex parties, You know,
No,
like
of course not. But
before the fall of the empire.
I'm saying,
we're
like,
talking-
mainland Europe is just as Catholic as Ireland is, but wasn't repressed.
I need to
in the
think, I
same
need
way.
to think about
No,
this.
you go ahead.
I think you. I think
Put
you've
your
got
big
me.
British brain on and see if you can find a reason.
Stop you! Come on.
Or Nigel. Nigel Doherty.
I really, I did not enjoy that.
But there's so many things, you know, that like one of the hosts of Eurotrash was legitimately Jean-Paul Gaultier, the designer. He's
really?
one of them. He's the main, the second to main host.
And was he a famous designer
Yeah,
when he was doing it?
yeah. Like he's just like, but he acts so stupid and like you makes loads of like dick jokes and shit. It's just so it's so of its time, and I'm watching it because like I thought of it and I was like, oh, like, you know, I know there was a lot of like nudity, and that was really the reason I watched it when I was 16.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I feel like rewatching it now, like it sort of makes sense a lot of who I am as a person to an extent, because I didn't really watch it because it was interesting.
Yeah.
And like the first episode is about, like, it starts off about the boy Jay. I don't know his name, but you know that guy. Did you ever watch America's Next Top Model?
No.
Never seen it.
No.
Okay, it just I thought I don't mean like you watched it. I mean like I watched it because like, you know, my girlfriend at the time was watching it or something.
Oh,
You know?
okay. Yeah, I do have shows like that, but like
But
RuPaul's Drag Race and stuff.
I haven't seen that. But
You know what? You can actually get into it.
No, I've
Sometimes
heard-
you do
I've
legitimately get on, but like, you know, slay.
Well, there's a boy called Jay who's like, I know him from America's Next Top Model, but and that was like the 2000s. In 1983, he's like the first thing on Eurotrash. He's American, but he teaches. He's like a 6'4" guy. And he teaches like models to walk. Like, run.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's his whole deal. His whole shtick. And I was just like,
Is this what he actually does for a living?
yeah.
And that's why he's in America's Next Top Model? Or is that what he does in Eurotrash?
Both.
Both? Okay.
So he was already doing it for a living in
Life
Eurotrash.
imitating art.
So they were just like, because Eurotrash's whole thing is just like, here's some weird things that are happening over Europe, pretty much. That's like the idea of it.
See, I'm so far removed, and I was never really big into it anyway, because it was like you had to stay up late and try and watch it on Channel 5 without your parents really knowing that you're watching it.
It was Channel
And
4.
No, I think it was Channel 5. Channel 5 always had that kind of weird shit.
It did. But maybe you're right, actually.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was Channel 5. This is going to make no sense to anyone younger than 35, probably,
Yeah.
really, isn't it?
When we grew up, there was 6 channels. That
Oh,
right?
no. Sure, we had Channel 9 in Derry.
That was later on. I'm saying we had BBC 1 and 2, or UTV.
Yeah.
Is Channel 3, Channel 4, Channel 5. And like Channel 4 and Channel 5 were just called Channel 4 and Channel 5.
Yeah.
They weren't like, that's not just us saying, you know, that's the channel. That
Yeah,
that's
that's the name of the channel. It's not like Blaze and Dave and stuff. Like they didn't exist.
And we had RTE, that was it.
Yeah. No, RT1 and RT2, but then you're kind of jumping between national.
I don't think anybody watched RTE1.
No. But I don't think that many people watched BBC One either. You know, they're both the sort of serious. They're the big brother of the real channel, which is like
the good channel.
Yeah, the good channel was
the fun younger
yeah,
channel.
the fun younger channel. That's it, and they got. But it's weird because that's kind of the way it's the opposite from what the radio does. Because on the radio, the like Radio 1 is always like the popular channel. Radio 2's for like the people who are a bit more adult, who've grown up a little bit. You know, they're like, that's where it's like Radio 1 is like Rick Astley in the 80s. And Radio 2 is like Rick Astley in the 2020s, where he's coming out with like real good shit.
Yeah, I was about to say.
But like,
I was hoping you.
But
were
nobody fucking listens to it.
Did I make you listen to Rick Astley's new albums? Or did you get it from me?
No, I don't think I got it from you. I think I just listened to him on Radio 2 and was like, oh yeah, this is good shit.
There's some amazing songs that came out like a couple of years ago. I was really into them.
But then the further you go down on the radio channels, like you get the Radio 4.
Well,
and as classical music.
No, you're wrong.
Yeah, no,
you're already wrong.
Oh no, Radio 4 is like the comedy and the talking and all that
Radio
shit.
4 is pretty much like Radio Plays, which is amazing. But I almost exclusively listen to Radio 3, which is classical.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Radio 3 is classical.
Radio, that's
Radio 4 is fucking
Radio 3 and R&G, which is I don't understand anything that's happening there. I don't speak Irish, but
You just like the lilt of it.
exactly. I enjoy it. You know, but like radio is just really hard to listen to sometimes. Like I find, and I always have. To be fair, like I've never been a fan of radio, which is funny because probably the reason I really wanted to start a radio station or have my own radio show is because I hate the radio. But I know that like nobody would like my radio show, so I haven't gone that far yet.
That's the problem with having a really niche music taste. Is there are, statistically, there are millions of people out there who would love it, but connecting with that audience is the hard part. But
there's a meme that I always think about. I always find very funny. It's like, but it's this girl who's like remembering that time that she got to do an hour on the radio. And she played only Evanescence deep cuts. I feel that's so hard, especially as a teenager.
Yeah. But that's the thing. Sometimes you come across gold as well on the radio, because I almost never listen to radio now because of the advent of streaming. It's that basically is your own tailored radio station. But every now and then I'll be on, and I used to listen to a lot of it on the long drives when I was working in Belfast and living in Derry. I was doing like 4 hours a day of driving in my car, and I would listen to a lot of the radio, and you would just get some absolute gems on it. You would turn on, the classical channel, and they'd be doing an hour of like classical video game music or something, and you're like, radio oh my great. God,
there's like so much that I get out of Radio 3, and sometimes I'll hear like either a classical piece or a jazz, because they do a lot of jazz on there too. And it's like, and I hear it and immediately I'm like, that's what such and such sampled for this song. And then I like go down a rabbit hole of like, how do people put these things together? Sampling, I know that like, especially in the 90s, rap got such a bad rap for like, not being music, people being like that.
Yeah.
It's not anymore, but going back and like even like the Real Slim Shady, the song The Real Slim Shady, that was a big one. Like the tune that is the
little
okay, it's from like a guy called Lappy Sifri. He's like this English black jazz musician from like 1974 that had like one album that like nobody really knew that well, and somehow they've picked out this and that part that is just the breakdown. It's not even like the main theme of the song, it's just the breakdown. It's not the chorus, not the verse. It's just like towards the end, and they've extracted that and made like a whole like hit song out of it. And it's like, how did you know about this in the first place? How did you decide thereafter, I'm going to take this very specific part and elongate it? Like, it's just, there's so much that I find like when I go down these rabbit holes of like, how did you get there? That's like really interesting. That is like, really impressive in some way. I really like that.
There's I got a similar thing that I was listening to at some point in the recent past, and it was about the that drum beat that's like the most sampled drum beat in the world. It goes like dun 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 dun. So that comes from like the 1970s in this like obscure album of like sort of Motown stuff, and the drummer had like a little drum solo in the middle of the song. So it was just the drums, and all the rest of the song, like all the other instruments weren't playing because it was just for him. But because of that, it made it really good to sample, because you had all these individual
drums,
individual sort of linearly played drum pieces, and then you had the actual drum beat itself. So it was really good for sampling. So somebody basically chopped that and then started using that. In fact, no, I'm a liar. It's not that someone chopped it. Someone made a pack of samples that could be used
based on this one drum solo.
No, it had all these different like drum loops and stuff like that, but that drum beat was in it. But they didn't ask for permission. They never told them. They never said anything about it. So then this guy's drums basically became like the industry standard and like revolutionized loads of like, you know, like fucking think of like the Prodigy, Firestarter.
dance music pretty
Think
much,
of all of the like drum and bass stuff that came afterwards.
Europop
Think
as
of you know, loads of Europop, loads of, you know, it was slowed way down and used for a load of you know, like rap and stuff like that. And
That's crazy.
You know, it was used in loads of influential albums by man, I'm missing his name. What do you call, like the Jay-Z and stuff like that? You know, he used it, and it's been played hundreds of billions of times, and the boy died penniless. Like, never got anything from it.
Tale as old as time.
Oh man, it really fucking annoys me. This guy, he wrote and performed this amazing bit of drums that's gone on to almost reclassify modern music. Anybody can recognize that drum beat and be like, oh yeah, I know that drum beat straight off. And like, he just fucking dead. Nothing. Got nothing from it.
The two big ones for me in the same vein are obviously Van Gogh. Like, like this is going to be such a stupid story, but like I remember when I was like 8 or 9, like we had a touring caravan. You pull in the car. We'd go to the beach and we'd stay there for like a week or whatever. But I used to my ma had like a Don Henley cassette tape, and I like ran the car battery down, just sitting in the car listening to it on repeat. So like American Pie was on it. So like I've always known all the words to American Pie, or even though most people do not, because it's a very long song. But Vincent is on there as well. Have you ever heard that song by him? Unbelievable! Like it's one of the best songs of all time. But it's by Vincent Van Gogh. You'll definitely know it if you heard it.
I don't know. We've got very different music tastes.
Is it Starry, Starry Night? Nope. I might listen to it. But anyway, we went to the Van Gogh Museum as well in Amsterdam. Like I all into Van Gogh, but he's like the classic penniless artist that became famous after he died. But like the other one then is Philip K. Dick, who like I would say at least two of my favorite films, probably of all time, are based on Philip K. Dick stories.
Blade Runner and Total Recall.
You're very close, but Total Recall, Minority Report.
Oh.
Minority Report. I was thinking about it recently, like this week as well. Funny. I just really like that. I like the book. I like the film. I like everything. I just love that. The whole concept of it all.
Well, was that in the short stories with that? It's not The Android's Dream of Electric Sheep. That's Blade Runner.
That's Total Recall.
That's Blade Runner.
Nope. The Android's Dream of Electric Sheep is definitely Total Recall. Minority Report is called Minority Report.
Oh, is it? Okay. What's the one that became Blade Runner then?
I'm actually not sure off the top of my head. But Phil K. Dick died penniless. And then nobody cared. Yeah, nobody cared.
Oh, man.
Until after he died.
That makes me sad.
Is it so sad?
Yeah.
But it's also, in my own way, I'm kind of like hopeful as a result of it. Like maybe somebody's going to...
Yeah, maybe
I'll be like a famous
you're
poet.
Dead.
Now you're going to hate me for the next like 6 months because you put this idea of like medieval Ireland in my head, and I got all into medieval Ireland in a way that you didn't want me to. And now I'm obsessed with the idea of the poets from medieval Ireland.
I mean, I'm a big fan of medieval Ireland, as you know.
Like,
but probably in different ways to you.
Like it feels like a calling of some sorts. Like medieval Ireland poets were like high class.
Oh yeah, man.
And
we're a nation of warrior poets.
But I can't get over the fact that the funniest thing that I would excel in this role. Like, now I found my place in history is that people would have been sentenced in like court, so to speak, you know, whatever the time, pretty much a big slagging from a poet. Like a poet's gonna write a diss track about you, and that's like your sentence, and like everybody's gonna laugh at you because it's gonna be so fucking funny about it. And like, God, that would be like my dream job.
I know they used to have a thing like that back in Viking times as well, where like the Vikings, it wasn't like a sentencing, but whenever they basically used to have like, you know, like freestyle rap standoffs, like rap offs. There's a name for it. I'm going to find out what it is and I'm going to send it over to you. But Vikings basically used to do like freestyle rap battles.
That's unbelievable.
In Viking times. And it has a specific name. And I actually think it was carried over in the like medieval like English, gentry used to do it as well. But I don't think
the English ruined everything.
Of course, it did.
We had to wait another 1,000 years for a good rap battle. But like, I'm going to sound like the most. This is my worst thing of like. I promise not to talk about this too much, but like poetry, modern poetry. There's some amazing modern poetry. Obviously, this is not like everybody shouted poetry.
Yeah.
Like if I said everybody shouted poetry, then I'm slagging myself off. But but there's this idea that everybody can be a poet, and it's not the way that life works. Do you know what I mean? And because it's such an accessible medium, you don't have to learn an instrument. You don't have to, it's been so diluted so heavily in the last, like, I want to say 30 to 40 years that people just laugh at poetry now. If somebody says, like, oh, a poem, people will laugh at you.
Yeah.
And I hate that.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because I write some really good poems.
Yeah. Because even like last year, I got married and I had a little piece of like poetry writing stuff that I got you to perform at it.
Yep.
But even then, I was like, this is so fucking cringe. Like, who writes a poem? But it's like kind of like the one time in your life that you really can be like, I'm going to be a cheesy bastard is at your wedding.
But you're a good writer, and you put effort into put effort into like something that you care about.
And you did a very good job of reciting it as well. It's
my thing, my whole bag.
Yeah. You did a great job.
But like,
very happy.
I am
standing on a cliff top with the wind fucking blowing in her hair.
That actually was such a fun visual and like feeling. You know what I mean? I like that. We should do a gig there. But like, it's especially because poetry is being used so lazily politically. People write, and politically is probably the wrong word, but just like whatever is of the time, whatever like the hot topic. Yeah, people write poetry, and people are like so brave for talking about it in poetry form. And like, I just like, my poetry is such bullshit in terms of like content. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
I'm gonna make a little hiss noise here.
Ooh, make your hiss, babe.
Nathan bought me a little Diet Coke that says "Babe" on it. There,
it's your name now.
Hey, tastes even sweeter.
Imagine you just change your name to Babe. What was it I saying?
There are people called Babe. Babe Ruth.
Somebody changed this is recent. Somebody changed their name to Pudsey the Bear. Was it Pudsey the Bear? They legally changed their name to Pudsey the Bear, from Children in Need. As like a Children in Need fundraiser, if we raise this much money, I'll legally change my name to Pudsey the Bear.
Okay.
They went through with the legal change because they said they would. So now their name is Pudsey the Bear. Like, the government let them change their name to Pudsey the Bear, but then they wouldn't let them get a passport because their name's too stupid.
What do you do then?
What do you do?
Yeah, he's screwed.
Why would you do that?
No.
I hate the government so much. Like, either let us do whatever we want, or don't.
I'm not even going to engage in this conversation because we don't have the time. We're already halfway through this episode. We haven't even talked about the Pope, which is what we were going to talk about.
The People's People podcast?
Yeah. We haven't even gone near the People's People podcast yet. Like, I don't have the time, Nathan, to be talking about the fucking government.
Government overreach.
Like, it's too sweeping of a thing for me. Like, like we can talk about poetry, and then talk about a little bit about the Pope. That's fine. I'll tell you this about poetry.
Puppetry.
No, that was one of those bad. That was one of those bad dad jokes.
They have to come up. For the good ones to come.
That's it. There's a bad and average, isn't there?
It's not all cool. It's not all diamonds. You have to get through it.
That's it. But whenever I was a teenager, and you're an angsty teenager. And you write fucking things, that in my mind it was like, I'm writing songs. But then if you never put music to them, then it's just a fucking poem.
Exactly.
But then I posted them up on this thing called poemofquotes.com.
I don't know about poemofquotes.com.
You know all about it?
I don't know.
You don't know about it? But it's basically like amateur fucking
Poetry,
poet writers write and post it up, and it's like a little community, and everybody quote or like comments on it and says, as you were saying, you're so brave, or like, great piece, or really love how you talk about your ex being a bitch, like, but you didn't use those words. Like,
I actually have like a notepad file that I've saved. It's in my Google Drive, thankfully, but I got it from. This is a very convoluted way, but like I was clearing out one of my dad's old computers, found this notepad file on it because I was looking for things of mine on there, and it was like 10 songs, like you say, just poem. I didn't put music any of them, but that was the plan. They were songs that I'd written when I was like 15.
Oh God!
And this is like 15 years ago that I found them, but I've kept them this whole time. I've like moved them from Google Drive to Google Drive, or from USB to this computer to Google Drive, whatever, over the years. And I haven't opened it now in about 5 or 6 years at least. But like I'm going to do it today, probably, now that you've brought it up, because I just want to see how. Because sometimes I open it and like the last memory I have opened it is like going like,
oh my
good
God.
thing you put work into this because this is shite.
Yeah.
Like, good thing you've worked on this and didn't think this was good at the time, Jim.
There are times where I've debated like going on and trying to trawl through Poem of Quotes to find the old stuff that I posted up on it.
Let me tell you about what I did. Like, maybe I told you this already, but I'm not sure. I was sitting at home, like, this is about a month ago, and I was just listening to music, and there was this bass line in this Black Crow song that I was like, God, I used to love playing that bass line. I'm not going to sit and figure it out right now. I'm going to look up a tab for it, just so I can noodle about with it and have a bit of fun with it. So I went and looked up the tab, and just like started playing along with the tab. Realized it was like just a little wrong. It wasn't like, it was mostly serviceable. Where I was like, not then Lord. Got to the very bottom of the tab. There's my fucking name on it. I made that fucking tab. Like 20 years ago I made it.
Oh man, that's good. What was that on ultimateguitar.com or something?
I remember when I seen it, I remember, because I didn't expect to see it, because I only wrote tabs on a very specific bass tab website.
Okay.
That was like called like allaboutbass.com or something.
Right.
Something stupid. But obviously what's happened is that Ultimate Guitar has just like ripped it from that and just put it in there, but kept my name on it, which was nice. But I was just like me critiquing this tab, being like, you could have done a little better here.
Oh man,
20 years ago, Nathan.
I've never written, no, that's not true. I've like handwritten tabs for like other people that I'm in a band with and stuff like that.
Like just nice aesthetically handwritten tabs.
Like calligraphy. No. But I've never like written a tab and put it on the internet. Like worked out a song, written a tab out and posted it for other people to help them.
It was cathartic for me because now I was like 14, 15 playing bass, and like again we talked about actually in the last episode, like a lot of people play bass because it is quite, it's an entry level instrument at times. But I was going to like extremes of playing bass and trying to like get really, really crazy good at it, to a fault sometimes. But it was good for me because I only had maybe like 3 people in my, like, I had a lot of people in my life at that point to play music, but maybe 3 that actually cared about bass beyond like, the basics of bass.
Yeah.
So I wanted to like make tabs and stuff because it was just something to do. It was something to keep me focused and occupied, and it was something to
get you in with the bass community.
Because like I look up a tab, it wasn't there. I'm going to make it then.
Yeah. I suppose that's it's so different because in our town there was such a high level of, there were so many guitarists and so many really fucking good guitarists in our town, because we had a couple of very virtuosic guitar players that became guitar teachers. Yeah. That taught a shitload of young people to be amazing at guitar. And so that was kind of what you were coming up with. So there was this real, entrenched guitar community.
But it was funny at the same time because like we both had there was 2 in the Nerve Center. Yeah. I had one who was like a much better bassist than a guitarist, but still an incredible guitarist. And you had the one who was an incredible guitarist. And for some reason, they had a falling out at some point in
Yeah,
time.
it was like a rivalry.
And then it became like a rivalry. And I remember so clearly being brought upstairs to your guitar teacher's room. I don't know if you were there or not, but your guitar teacher's room to like have some sort of like rap battle with guitars, so to speak. It was like there was no scoring system. There was no like prize at the end. It was just them showing off the people that they were teaching to each other, and but it felt weirdly like mean.
It was like the Karate Kid, where like Cobra Kai and Miyagi Dojo, and then they got like their little fucking.
But it really
people
was
that
like
mentor.
that. In hindsight, that was really weird. But at the time, I was just like so. I was so like for this guy because he was my entire
Cobra
mentor.
Kai never die.
He was my Mr. Miyagi. You know what I mean? I'd see him the odd time around. He's still going, thankfully.
Well, I seen him playing there the other day.
With Mouth Frogs?
No, with Jeanette Hutton.
Oh, with Jeanette.
Yeah, they were playing in San Dimas for the jazz festival. Not playing jazz, obviously playing like hard rock stuff that they were playing, and then King's Call played afterwards, which I'm such a big Thin Lizzy fan, and sometimes I forget. Because I was mad into them when I was a teenager. But now I don't listen to them half as much as I was.
There's quite a few things like that for me where like I listened to it so much back then that I'm like almost burned out. I would never think I'm going to put on some Thin Lizzy.
Yeah.
When Thin Lizzy comes on, I am having a great time.
And it's
and especially like when it's not The Boys Are Back in Town. Like as much as a great song that is. Or Dancing in the Moonlight's the other one that burned me out quite a lot, but I love it.
Still so good, yeah.
It's so much fun to play. It's like if I pick up a guitar within an hour, I'm playing Dancing in the Moonlight, even a bass, even the ukulele. I'm just going to do it because it's just such a fun little.
Well, that's the thing. The bass line on that is much better than the guitar line on it, even though the guitar solo is very good on it. Is there another really big pause? I was just thinking about the song.
You're reminiscing, like, oh, what a great song. This is good entertainment.
My brain just like clicked into one of those rabbit holes where it was like, because I thought guitar solo, and then I went, hang on, is it a guitar solo? I think it's a saxophone solo.
No, they're both.
It just, because I've always had whenever I used to play the song in bands and play them, not like bar bands, but kind of almost Thin Lizzy cover bands. A lot of the like original bands that I would have been in, we always did it. Well, not all of them, because some of them were like death metal bands. But the sort of rock bands that I was in, we would have done like Thin Lizzy covers. But Dancing in the Moonlight, I always remembered that I had to do the saxophone solo on guitar. And then I just had a bit of a brain fart, and then I was like, "But is that bass line a bass line, or is that a saxophone?" And I basically, so in my brain, it was like it was completely shuffling all the instruments.
All of them are saxophone.
Yeah, it became a saxophone ensemble with a little bit of like seventh chords on guitar, and I was sitting going, "That can't be how the song sounded." And that's why there's a massive fucking gap in the middle of the podcast. Sorry about that, everyone. I've had to explain this to Emma as well. Sometimes she'll turn around and say, "Oh, what are you thinking about?" And I'll just go down this rabbit hole of fucking random stuff. And she'll be like, "Why? How are those things connected?" And then I have to talk about, right, well, whenever I was thinking about this, and then I looked out this window and seen that tree is in bloom, and I was like, well, what kind of tree is that if it's blooming at this time of year? And then and
in this economy,
and I think, and then talking about the economy, these tariffs, and then where it's in China, like, and then you just go off. But it'll be in the space of about 5 seconds of me just sitting being silent.
Because you can get through so much in your head in 5 seconds. But you can make so many synapses.
But I must have a specific look on my face when I do it, because sometimes Emma just looks at me and goes, "Are you okay? Like, what? Where'd you go?" Oh, sorry, yeah, I've just travelled the universe and come back again. Like, I think that's a normal thing, though, isn't it?
It is. It's pure normal. I'm the abnormal because I don't do a lot of.
Yeah, Emma says she doesn't do that though.
But but it's because just like the the stupid things that I say wordplay wise. I just word fart everything to my wife. I don't keep any
Stream
thoughts
of
in.
consciousness.
I just keep talking. It's same with the kids and stuff. I just keep talking because if I don't keep talking, they're going to keep talking. So one of us has to do
Beat them
it.
to it.
If I want to have a conversation that I'm interested in, then I need to start it.
Well, you know what? We still haven't talked about the Pope.
Well, let's do it now. Let's have a wee bit of the People's People podcast.
I know, but I wanted to get into the weeds because there's a couple of like conspiracies as well about it. Or I was getting a little bit conspiracy-ish about it.
Well, I'm not. So here, full disclosure on you, Pope. He's American, obviously. We all know that now. But he spent like nearly his whole life in Peru.
Yes.
Is this part of the conspiracy? Is this some sort of Incan situation? Like
Well,
Mayans or whatever?
No. I mean, I don't even think it is a conspiracy. I probably just took it to a conspiracy place when I didn't need to go there. But like, so within the last 3 years, he's gone from being a bishop to becoming the goddamn Pope. Like, that's a fucking
quick rise.
Yeah,
It's quite a young Pope
a
too.
trajectory. I mean, what is he, like 69 or something?
69. That's quite young for a Pope.
Is it? Like, but
Popes, like, there's been like what? Funny actually. No, not the last Pope. He died, but the one before that resigned.
Ratzinger,
Yeah,
Benedict.
Do you know why he or not why he resigned, but how he was able to resign? To the lore there. So popes were meant to be pope until they died. But like back like in like the 1300s or something, there's this one boy that everybody wanted to be pope, and he didn't want to be pope. He wasn't even like a cardinal or anything. He was just like this random like priest or bishop or something,
right?
Just like this guy to an extent. But like everybody was like, "You be a class pope. We're going to make you pope," and you can't like realistically. Not that it would happen, but in very technical terms, like because I'm a Catholic man, like they could have pulled my name out and said Nathan's Pope now, and I wouldn't be able to stop that. Like as long as you're Catholic and a man, you're eligible to be Pope. You don't have to be a cardinal. It's just that they generally are. It's just like that's more tradition than it is rule. Does that make sense? But same with this guy. He wasn't a cardinal. It's like the 1300s. Everybody just really liked him. They wanted to be Pope. So he was like, right, I'll be Pope then. And like the first thing he did was
write a clause
that a Pope can resign, and then resign 2 weeks later. I guess that.
That's working smart, isn't it? Like that's working smart.
It's like I'll do it, but on my own way. But the whole thing was, and the reason I was, the way the world is, right? America's a little crazy and it's some way scary. So having an American Pope is not good optics. Right.
Yeah, I get what you mean. And they're going out of their way to call him the second Pope from the Americas. They're not saying he's the first American Pope. Yeah, the second Pope from the Americas.
But the last Pope, I really liked last Pope Francis. He was good crack. Lovely fella. And he was really he said this guy should be Pope.
Oh, really?
When he was alive, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So that's why it was a quick turnaround. Everybody seems to like him. So I have quite high hopes in terms of like high Pope hopes in terms of he's not going to be a ball bag. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, although there was a wee bit of controversy because there's a couple of women came forward and was like, you know, I don't know if it was him specifically, but whenever he was bishop, the people under him, there's a bit of fiddling going on, you know. But I mean, it's a tale as old as time, isn't it? Like,
I mean,
you know, I'm pretty sure every fucking well, maybe I shouldn't say that, but like,
but it's not a Catholic thing either. It's the thing that annoys me is that like it's painted as like a priest thing. There's just as many American ministers, Protestant ministers that are exactly the same.
yeah, I mean, I don't think that makes it any better.
It doesn't make it better. Not in any way, shape, or form does it make it better. I'm just saying that it's a religion thing, not a Catholic thing.
Yeah.
But what was the other thing I was going to say about him? That is, did you see like interviews with his brother?
No.
So his brother like straight up still lives in like Chicago or whatever.
Okay.
He was like, like there was an interview with his brother just after he was made Pope, and he was like, "So like, what were you chatting about recently?" And I was like, "I was chatting to him before he went into the whole conclave thing." It was like, "You wearing your red socks?" Like as a joke, he said it. And he was like, "Have you watched the Conclave movie, so you know what you're in for?" And they were like playing Wordle together and stuff. They just seem like normal, like quite sweet people. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not as concerned as most people would be at face value, which I get.
Yeah, because there's a lot of that, wasn't it? It's like, oh, Bob this and Bob that. Oh yeah, it's just happened there. Bob said this and Bob, and then they were like, I mean Pope Leo,
Pope Bob.
I seen the. Oh, I can't even remember what it was, but it was talking about all the other Leos that there had been, and it said like the first Pope Leo had met with Attila the Hun and convinced him not to invade Europe or whatever. And then it was like, and the last Pope Leo wrote a great treatise on just some bullshit, but it was like
massively important. Yeah,
no, it wasn't important at all. It was some rubbish, but it was like, could you imagine being like Leo the 13th or whatever, and then someone's talking about you and they're like, oh yeah, he wrote a really good essay once. And then like, but the first guy, like
the real Leo.
But it kind of leaves you with like boots to fill. It's like if you choose that name, well, I suppose it depends. You could be like, all I got to do is write a better essay than that guy, or
I mean, there's no real Attila the Huns these days, is there? Like,
well, I can't say there's a few of them.
Is it a conspiracy theory? He's still alive and well.
I mean, no, there's no Attila the Hun, Nathan. There's still plenty of expansionist, warmongery people in the world that you can have conversations with if you want to go that way. But anyway, I think we may call it a day there because it's about to get noisy.
Very quickly, though, did you see the Greg's ad that they put out? They put it out on their normal Greg's thing, but it was like "Sun's out, Huns out." But
that
didn't go well over here yet.
I think we would probably need to explain that for the people at home, so maybe we just wash over that.
Let them have their imagination.
Okay, there we go. Right, well, we'll leave it at that there anyway for today.